Hey guys, this is Feeding Frenzy 91 and I'm bringing you some Call of Duty 4 gameplay because the video is about looking back at the current gen, and I think Call of Duty 4 was like the most earliest current gen game I may have had in my library. So I'm just going to talk about my top 10 as we make the leap in the next generation, especially, well, technically next gen's already here, but as we finish its arrival with the PS4 and the Xbox next week, well, I want to look back at the 10 most things I thought defined the current generation. Let's start with number 10 and go straight to number 1. Number 10, I believe, is honestly overlooked a lot, and that would be the insert of wireless controllers. Wireless controllers, yes, they have been around for a while, but it wasn't until this current gen that wireless became the standard for controllers. It is true that Xbox still had corded controllers, but Xbox 360 came out first, so you would have to expect it to actually go with corded controllers as opposed to all wireless like the other systems. PS4, PS3 I mean, Wii even was all wireless. There was no corded controllers for those consoles, unless for the Wii you count the GameCube controllers. But this gen, which actually, it made a difference. I remember my cousin actually once said he went back to corded controllers. He actually was playing, I think, PS2, and he was like, wow, I can't believe I used to have to sit this close to the TV to play. And it actually did change how we play our games in reference to distance from our televisions. Alright, so number 10 is the insertion of wireless controllers. At number 9, we have Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Now, I know a lot of people actually ignored this, but Call of Duty 4 set the pace for what first-person shooters would be during this whole current generation. And what I mean by that is, Call of Duty 4, I know that Counter-Strike did it beforehand, but I'm just going to talk about consoles during this whole video. No PC, just consoles. And Call of Duty 4 was one of the first, if not the first, console FPS to have custom classes rather than either set classes or guns simply waiting for you on the map. Now, that actually shaped what first-person shooters and third-person shooters would be for the generation to come. And even if it's not the first, it was by far the most popular and it was the most copied. Alright, at number 8, we have USB storage. Before, in the last current generation, not the current generation was the first one to have USB storage for the consoles. See, with the other generations, we had to buy those big old memory sticks that used to be like 8 megabytes that used to store nothing. I mean, how much memory sticks or memory cards did you used to have for your PS2s or GameCubes? I mean, you used to have like so much of them, and so much of them didn't store much. But the USB, which was introduced when Xbox 360 actually came out, even though Xbox 360 limited you at first to 16 gigabytes, that was still a lot more than what we used to have. And that actually allowed us to use our own USBs without having to buy memory cards. Even though Xbox had one, it still allowed us to do it. At number 7, we have Xbox 360's trigger. Even though the original Xbox brought us the trigger, it wasn't until Xbox 360's trigger, which was, I believe, was a perfected version of the Xbox trigger, that it actually showed us that first-person shooters can be enjoyable on consoles. That trigger, let's face it, that's why FPS is sold so well on the Xbox 360, because of that trigger. That trigger really helped with first-person shooters. It made us feel like we're actually pulling a gun trigger of sorts. And of course, even PS3 ended up kind of copying it in a sense, because PS2 just had the R2 was a button. PS3's R2 was a trigger, even though it was a concave, I believe, trigger instead of a convex like the Xbox is. It was still a trigger nonetheless. And people underestimate how the 360's trigger really allowed us to enjoy FPSs better. And next up we got HD graphics, and minus the Wii obviously, the HD graphics for the Xbox 360 and the PS3 made games look so much better than their predecessors. I mean, when I first looked at these games, I was like, wow, these people look almost real. I mean, PS2, the jump from PS2 and Xbox to 360 and PS3 was like one of the biggest jumps ever. Obviously not the biggest, I think the biggest was from like Super Nintendo to N64. But still, HD graphics, they really made the games look beautiful, and they really brought a different aspect to the games than we had before. And it just, it started the whole graphics war. 720p, 1080p people. That's where it started, when HD graphics were integrated. Alright, and number 5, we have digital downloads. Digital downloads were an extreme innovation in the console industry, because beforehand, you had to get the CD or physical disc, but now you could just download the game which was an unlimited amount. You can download. You no longer had to worry about, oh, the game's gonna run out, and then had to wait forever for them to restock it on shelves. No, you can go and you can download it, and you can put it on your hard drive, and you don't have to put your CD in there anymore. It really started also the whole jump from consoles to computers. It made them more like computers in the sense that you can just get digital games. Even the Wii was with its virtual software and everything, which was pretty good, allowed you to buy digital games online. And it really just was a jump for the industry as a whole. Alright, at number 4, we have Nintendo Wii. As I just mentioned, the Wii, and we have the Wii at number 4. Like it or hate it, Nintendo Wii started what motion controlling gaming. Even though there was motion controls beforehand, what Nintendo Wii did was it showed us that for almost every game you can have motion controls. And actually, because of the novelty, it won the console war in terms of console sales. And also it won the whole PS3 and Xbox copying it. PS3 a more direct copy. Xbox did the Kinect, which was actually slightly innovative compared to the PS3's Move, but still neither was sold as well as the original Wii. And the Wii, despite it really showed how motion controllers, how much people it brought people who weren't gamers to the gaming market. Even my dad could play the Wii. Alright, at number 3 we have YouTube. YouTube actually caused games to be advertised in a different way. All of a sudden, people use capture cards, they capture the gameplay, they talk about it online, and people watch them. And what was that called? Free advertising. Also, what it actually did, which many people don't realize, is because there was so much gameplay on YouTube, it stopped the whole hype. If the game is bad, people didn't buy the game because they saw gameplay. Beforehand, all they had to do was work from the CGI trailer or the live action trailer that the game had. Now, with YouTube, they had so much gameplay, you could either see a really good game because of gameplay or a really bad game because of gameplay. It caused the whole marketing of games to change. People had to start showing their gameplay to actually sell consoles. You couldn't just show a CGI trailer. So, at number 2, sitting pretty, is voice chat. Voice chat allowed us to actually talk to people while we're playing with them online in consoles. Once again, this has been available for PCs for a while, but with consoles it wasn't. And it actually made games more fun. Call of Duty would not have been what it was if it were not for voice chat. Halo would not have been what it was if it were not for voice chat. So many online games would not have been what they were if you weren't able to talk to people while you're playing them. Honestly, people wouldn't play online as much without being able to talk to your friends or your family or anything. Voice chat really brought gamers from different countries, different places together. People found common likes, common interests, and people ended up friending people from all across the world. And voice chat was just really an innovative step for the consoles, even though it had been in PCs for a while. Then to bring it to consoles, it really helped the console sales. It really just pushed those console sales and the game sales for that matter. Alright, at number 1 we have online multiplayer, the most innovative step of the current generation consoles. And the reason why they sold so much. Why? Because before online multiplayer, let's be honest, if your friend had a game, you didn't have that game. Why? Because you could just borrow it from your friend. And because of that, games weren't selling as much. But when online multiplayer came to be, all of a sudden everyone wants to have the same game. Why? Because you want to play with your friends online. And because of that, games started selling like hotcakes. Online multiplayer changed the way we played games, and it also allowed games that previously could only be single player to be multiplayer. It allowed games like Assassin's Creed to be multiplayer. It allowed games like Batman. Well, Batman was a little late on the run, but allowed that to be multiplayer as well. Why? Because you didn't have to share a screen. For games that required the persons to be looking at different screens to really play it well, you didn't have to share one anymore. Even a game like, let's go with Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you can't have people looking at your cards. And with online, you could change that. You can play with people online because they're not looking at your cards, they're looking at a completely different screen. So online had to be the biggest innovative step of consoles for this generation. And it's really the reason why consoles sold so well. Alright, well that's the top 10 from the current gen. I am looking forward to the next gen. We'll see how it goes. We'll see whether it'll be successful or even more successful than current gen. Only time will tell. Thanks for watching my video. Like, comment, subscribe. God bless.